Welcome back. So in first part, we discussed various options about how to use Active DataGuard or how to create a DataGuard setup between different availability domain for bare metal as well as virtual machine databases. And in this part, we are going to take a look at various screens which are captured from a live environment. About that just gives you an overview of like how these things are supported from the OCI console. So first thing is creating DataGuard for virtual machine databases. So you need to log into the console and locate the database for which you want to enable the DataGuard. In my example, I have a database which is listed over here, and I go to DataGuard Association tab, and right now it shows 0. So there is no DataGuard enabled for this virtual machine database. In the second step, you will go to DataGuard Association page by selecting DataGuard Association, and you have an option to enable the DataGuard. So we click that, and once you will click on Enable DataGuard, it is going to ask you certain information about the display name of the database, the availability domain where you want this new standby to be created. You need to pick up the client subnet, and I have selected a subnet which is regional in nature, and then the host name prefix I have given stdby, and then other information what it asks is the database admin password. So this is the same password which is used by the production sysdba user. So input availability domain, you want DataGuard to be created as well as subnet. Provide the password for admin users. Make sure 1521 port is enabled between subnet as well as the security list is modified, which we discussed earlier in the part 1. And you have to also make sure security list having security rules are associated to the subnet containing the prod and standby DataGuard databases you are creating. So after providing those inputs, it will take some time, and it would be able to create the DataGuard association, and the color here will get updated once the DataGuard is in place. So it shows the primary database and the DataGuard association, the peer database which is getting created. Right now I have apply lag and apply rates information empty. So once they are created, it would be able to be seen here. So transport type is going to be async in this case. So once the activity is completed, you will be able to see the role information for your production database as well as the standby database, and the icon will turn in green. And that is about how you create the virtual machine and DataGuard association. So some of the activities which can be performed from the page or from the OCI console is switchover as well as reinstate. So for switching over, it is going to ask the admin password, and after providing, it would be able to do the role reversal. So now you see here that peer database, the role of the database, the apply lags or apply rates, transport type, all those details in the DataGuard association page. You can also see the backup configuration on VM DB, so that can be done, and this is the page from where you will see backup or any patches or DataGuard association related details. And once the backup will be started from there, so that is possible when it takes the primary role, and the backups will be taken after the role reversal from there. So this is how you enable the automatic backups. So it will look for all the prerequisites, and if they are met, you'll be able to schedule the automatic backups. The failover operations can be also performed, and this is how you can do that from the console. So from these action menus, you would be able to click on failover, and that can be done. Some of the important steps, like for configuration, we opened up the ports, we enabled port 1521 as well as egress and ingress rules, which we discussed earlier. So the screen talks about what has to be done from the source database side as well as the target standby database ingress and egress rules. So that can be referred. This again, service gateway is one of the requirement, right? Because that has ability to talk to any OCI services, And when you have service gateway within your deployment, you can select all IAD services in Oracle Service Network. So that way you don't even need a NAT gateway or internet gateway for any internal communication within the OCI. So this is how I've edited the routing rule, and now service gateway, the destination service is all IAD services in Oracle Service Network, and this completes the network preparation for the DataGuard association for virtual machine databases. This demo is on DataGuard bare metal, and for preparing the peer database, as I said, this is a new database which has to exist before you can make it part of a DataGuard association. So it is going to be a blank database, and that can be done from the VM DB Exadata page. So you go there and click on Launch DB System, and it will provide a display name for your database and the availability domain. You will select the SAPE which is required. So again, for SAPE as well as database version has to match, and the database editions has to match. So you have Enterprise Edition Extreme Performance. I'm doing it on a 2-core OS2 CPU system on bare metal, and this is 2.52 is my SAPE, and you will be able to provide the SSS keys which you might have or created already. Then data storage percentage, or you can go with the default option, or you can customize based on your need. On the network information side, you have to select the virtual cloud network, the client subnets, and the hostname prefix. And finally, it will ask you the database information for provisioning. So in my case, I've given VMS prod, and I've selected the database version, the PDB name here, and database admin passwords. So you have an option of enabling the automatic backup, so that you can enable, and you'll be able to launch the DB system. So this is going to be the database for DataGuard association, and they must exist before you can try the DataGuard setup. So once you have, you need to enable the DG after peer database is created, and I have a database VM DB prod, and when you select the database, you'll be able to see the production database which you already have, which is in primary role. So select on that, and from the action menu, you need to select enable DataGuard. Once you go to enable DataGuard, it will ask you certain information like protection mode is by default maximum performance, availability domain you need to provide where you have already created the PRDB system, and PRDB system name, as well as the admin password. So these are the only information which is which has to be provided for enabling the DataGuard. So click on enable, and a few things like the sys password is same as that of production, and when you will click on enable database, it will show you as updating, and after some time, based on the data volume and all, it should come up. So this is the screen showing up. DataGuard association is under progress, so it's in provisioning phase, and it is going to be maximum performance and transport type as async. So this is the page, like when you have enabled the DataGuard association, you will come up here, and under resources you are able to see that DataGuard association shows one instance, and that is nothing but your standby database, and it shows the roles and other details like apply lag and apply rates and all the activities supported like switchover and reinstate from the page. The shield icon indicates that this database is DataGuard enabled. Again, you can perform various activities like switchover. You need to provide the admin password, and you'll be able to change the role of the primary database. So here, after switchover, it shows the database role as a standby for PMS prod, and this confirms the role transition has happened successfully. So some of the appendix means I've tried to put a few more information here. So create the peer database for VM bare metal database. So that is the first step before you attempt the DataGuard association. And some of the networking related information. So you cannot deploy a database across different VCN, so you should not try that. That is not a supported configuration, or either creating local peering gateways, so they are not supported configuration for DataGuard configuration. And for modifying the security list or routing for bare metal or DB or DataGuard, so again, service gateway is one of the requirement, and security list, the ports 1521. These egress rules has to be enabled, and this is just a snippet from the console. The another thing, DataGuard also support the CLI options, and if you want to use a command line interface, you can always use dbcli list dgconfig, so it would be able to display you the configuration information for your production and standby database. And these things can be done command line also, and you can refer the link which we discussed in part 1. So next we are going to talk about the high availability with autonomous database, and that is through cloning. Right now we are not supporting a DataGuard for autonomous databases, which might come in the future, but cloning can help you with getting a replica of your database in another environment. And clone database can be used for multiple purposes, such as testing, development, experimentation, analytics, and any other use case. And these steps are valid for both autonomous transaction processing as well as autonomous data warehouse. So customers have ability to quickly create point-in-time copy of a particular autonomous database using OCI console or API, CLI, SDK, as well as Terraform. So creating clone of an existing database is easy. To clone a database, you have to go to OCI console, go to select your autonomous transaction processing or ADW from the console, and it will show you all the autonomous databases which are available, and you have to select view details of selected autonomous database, and inside the action menu you have create clone options. So for ADW as well as for ATP databases, you have ability to create the clone of that database. So once you do that, it will ask you whether you want a full clone or just metadata clone. So full clone creates a new database with source database data as well as metadata, and metadata clone is just only metadata, no source data. So in which compartment you want to create the origin, the display name of the new database, database name, and how much OCPU and storage that needs, and if you want to enable any auto scaling. The another thing, you need to pass the admin credentials, and that is the admin user's password, and you can select either BYOL or license included based on your previous deployment. Once you provide those information, the new clone database will come up and appear in the console, and it takes some time, few minutes depending on your data volume, and then you will be able to see that the status is changing from the provisioning to available state. So now we will try to summarize. We discussed about various high availability options like DataGuard and Active DataGuard, and it also offers complete lifecycle automation, means DataGuard creation, switchover, failover, and reinstate operations, which are supported through OCI console. And manual DataGuard options also we discussed. It can be done from APIs as well as CLIs. And for autonomous databases, you can use cloning option to create the new environment. So for more information, you can always take a look at our Oracle Cloud Portal, OCI training as well as certification page, and you have hands-on labs which are available, and they can provide you a good way to start and explore these options what we have discussed here. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube Oracle Learning Portal, and that will get you all the updates which are coming in for OCI. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope this was useful. And please subscribe to our OCI channel for more updates. Thanks.